As an investor, I've been racking my brain over the last 15 years to try and figure out a way to get from working 40 hours a week for the rest of my life until I'm 70 to a safe, sustainable, passive income for life. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share the simplest strategy that I've been able to come up with Simon, where we talk about our 3 properties to financial freedom.
Now, obviously there is a bunch of different strategies out there that you can use with property investing, but this is our nice, simple 3 property strategy. So why don't we break down the first phase of this property investment journey, which is essentially the buying phase.
Awesome, bro. So, it is called the 3 properties to financial freedom strategy because we're basing this off 3 simple properties. Now, our favorite market in Oz at the moment is Brisbane, but other people could look at Sydney, Melbourne, they could look at Adelaide, Perth, Darwin, wherever your cup of tea is, focus on, what you want to be doing. So it really starts with reverse engineering where you want to be in the future. Now, my vision has always been to have 100 grand a year of passive income at least, which would cover my basic expenses, putting my kids through private school, good quality food, a gym membership, some petrol in the car, a few caravan trips, like that simple sort of, it doesn't sound like a simple life when I say all that.
It sounds like the dream life.
But 100K gets me away with most of that stuff.
Hell yeah.
So what I've done is I've gone from 100 grand, well, how much rental income do I need per week? And it's pretty simple. I effectively need about $2,000 per week times 50 weeks a year gives me my 100 grand. Now, that's in the future, but for right now, I'm more than happy to continue to work like so many people are. So once I've identified where I want to be, which was my 100K, I then reverse it back to this buying phase. Now, you can buy the properties in a couple of years. Some of our clients have bought them in a year, or maybe you could take, 5, 10 years. It really isn't a race. It's about getting to that point where the rental income will allow you to be free in the future. So what that could mean in terms of hard dollars is we go out and buy 3 properties worth 500 grand each. So you've got your $1.5 million worth of total property. And then from those properties, each of them are giving you about, in today's terms, 500 a week. So 500 a week times 3 properties is 1,500 a week, times by the 50 weeks of the year. We're talking about 75 grand in today's values, which is a little bit short. But why I love property is rents increase over time, debts decrease over time, and the result of that is getting closer to 100K in 15 years from now.
So the second phase of this journey is to pay off the debt on those rental properties, which can be the tricky part. And I think it's where a lot of people actually get stuck as well. So Ben, why don't you share with us the 5 ways that you're using to pay down the debt on your properties?
Paying off debt is really where the fun starts. Ryan from On Property said it best to me. Once you've bought the properties that you need to be financially free in the future, you can take a hell of a lot of the pressure off yourself. This is a great opportunity to do a number of things. You could keep working hard if your focus is to pay them off quickly. But if it's not your focus and you're happy to let it just happen over time, then you could cut back at work to 4 days a week. You could take the school holidays off with your kids. You could change careers or industries and take a pay cut because you don't need that massive income anymore to obviously get the loans for the property. You could travel more. You could take some time off work. You could figure out what's really important to you and go back and study again. And that's exciting about this. Once you've bought those properties, you can take some of the pressure off. I think for me and you as well, like saving and buying properties or the 3 or 4 properties we both own is one thing, but that takes a hell of a lot of effort and consistent effort and delaying a lot of gratification, where once you've done that, you don't have to save half your wage anymore. You can start increasing your lifestyle, chilling out and having more fun.
And I think what has naturally happened in that buying phase is you build some habits. You really learn how to budget, you learn how to save, you get yourself into a really good financially stable position, and you can kind of carry that through, and it makes this second part of the journey that little bit easier as well.
100%, man. So the 5 things that are important to me in terms of paying off the debt, really simply starting with principal and interest, which a lot of banks in Australia will want you to do anyway. The second one that I do is if I get any tax benefit from the Australian government in relation to any of my properties, instead of, blowing that like a lot of Aussies do on boats or caravans or whatever, holidays, I just take that tax benefit, whether it's $3,000 or $30,000, and I pay it straight off the debt in that paying off debt phase. The third thing that I go and do is, as my rent naturally increases on the property over time and my debt naturally comes down, it creates a little bit of a surplus every week. So across 3 properties, maybe in 5 or 10 years after owning them, all of a sudden you're getting $100, maybe $200 a week of passive income per property. And I use that money, instead of again spending it, to immediately wipe the debt on the property.
You can really see from that as well that it's the beginning of the third phase as well. And I think Ryan from On Property says that best. Like, with being able to start to create that gap and start to generate a little bit of that passive income, it's going to give you more choices. But to me, I really want to speed that journey up. So the fourth thing that I'll do once I'm in that phase of consolidation or paying down the debt is, because I'm no longer saving to buy more properties as a deposit, I can use that surplus savings to pay off some extra debt on the property. So, if you're in a position to, if you could save an extra $100 per property and use that to pay off the debt every single week, it's really going to speed it up. And then one of the other strategies that both Ben and I will use is leveraging off the property market, because what you're going to learn from buying those 3 foundational properties is a hell of a lot of how to invest in property. So you can use those skills, those expertise, to potentially change your strategy a bit and buy some properties that you'll solely hold until you've got a decent amount of capital growth, and then maybe sell that property to help pay off the debt on the remaining portfolio as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And then once you've obviously got to this phase, whether it takes you 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, for some lucky people, maybe it'll take you 10. But then you finally get to the lifestyle phase, which we're not at there yet, but we are certainly working towards it at the moment. But let's talk more about the lifestyle.
For me, life is really about getting to that point where you can express yourself, and the vision that you've got for your life, or the reason that you're here, can sort of come to the forefront. When you're not worried about money anymore, when you're not living in survival mode anymore, when your cortisol is not constantly getting spiked, you can start to, one, help yourself, and then start to help other people around you in a more meaningful way. So for me, it's all about choices. Now, for some people, they're going to continue to go on and make more money and set up future generations, and that's beautiful. Like, I love work and will continue to do meaningful work. But what I've started to find as I've gotten closer to that point personally is this need to serve. One, to help other people through education like this, but more importantly for me, like community development, like helping other people through charity, through giving money at this point, and in the future giving more of that time back. And it's a special thing when you hit the choice phase. Like, at the moment, I'm lucky enough to work 4 days a week, to take 6 to 8 weeks off per year. And I get to grow up with my kids. I get to get home at a certain time every day. I get to train in the mornings. I get to travel, my little caravan when I feel like traveling. And I think as you move forward, it's not like you hit this magical point, you look in the mirror and all of a sudden your entire life's changed. But I think having complete freedom to do what you're supposed to be doing means you can double in and go all in on that, and, start to create that change in the world that I think is positive, through love, through compassion, and through bringing your best self to the people in your life.
I absolutely love that, bro. Like, it allows you to become more than yourself in the future. And I think that's what we're all striving towards, self-actualization, being able to help and give back a little bit more. But what I love so much about this 3 property strategy is it's a clear strategy that's going to get you to where you want to be. I feel as though a lot of property investors just go out there and buy properties and hope for the best. It's really important to sit down, have a think about where you want to be in the future, reverse engineer that back, and create a clear plan that you can focus on and execute over time to get to where you want to be. And then, rather than just leaving it up to the stars, you can be in more control of your destiny. So super excited to see how all this pans out.
Woo! That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Getting cool, bro. Yeah.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty.
Oh, that's good. That's so nice, eh?
Oh.